Unforgiveness can place you in bondages that you don't even know you in. Living with a heart filled with unforgiveness is like existing in life like a ship without a sail, blown helplessly by every wind that comes along. Unforgiveness is a silent killer. They talk about heart disease and high blood pressure, but there is some medical documentation that helps us to understand how unforgiveness affects our lives. According to the Bellevue Christian counselors, they say that unforgiveness creates an emotional storm of distress in which feelings of stress, anxiety, depression, insecurity, and fear surfaces. What are you scared of that is still holding you in captivity? They also say that unforgiveness creates a hardened heart. A hardened heart feels anger, resentment, bitterness, and hatred toward the offender and everybody else. Another study shows that unforgiveness makes us more susceptible to pain because it increases the sensitivity of that part of the brain that activates our emotions. Therefore, if we allow unforgiveness to multiply negativity, it hurts not only us, but it hurts everybody around us. Could you and I be guilty of not living our best life because we're still mad at somebody else? Could it be that there might be some warning signs that help us to understand that unforgiveness is possibly eating us alive? 14 warning signs that experts share about what is unforgiveness doing to our lives. I just want to name all of them so we make sure we cover every spectrum. First of all, for you to know that unforgiveness is eating you up alive, you are always experiencing bursts of anger. Ain't nobody done nothing to you, you just mad all the time. You find yourself petty and impulsive. You're desperate to make everybody else understand your point, even when you're wrong. You're compulsive. You're unable to reframe your experiences because you've been so mad for so long that you forgot what you was mad about. And then you don't take no responsibility for your own feelings. In other words, you always blaming somebody else for how you feel. Or you find yourself sick and the doctor can't find nothing wrong with you. Then you find yourself keeping a list of all the offenses of everybody else, but you can't remember none that you've done. You replay the scene over and over in your head because you just can't accept the fact that maybe you are the cause of everything you're going through. Not only that, you gossip all the time. You're righteous and you feel like you're entitled to everything, and everybody ought to submit and succumb to you. You are guilty of exercising poor judgment. And here it is. You refuse to confide in others because you know can't nobody confide in you. Normally, this text is a text that prosperity preachers use to help us give more money. However, Jesus over in Matthew 11:25 through 26 teaches us that we need to be the ambassadors of forgiveness. He says, if we cannot forgive, our heavenly Father who is in heaven will not forgive us of our trespasses. For Romans helps us to understand that all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. I didn't say it. Jesus said it. He says that if you cannot forgive others for what they've done to you, then God can't forgive you for what you've done to him. One more time, because repetition is good for pedagogy. He says that if you don't sow forgiveness, you won't reap it. He helps us to understand that in this text, he's talking about our character ought to be of such that we should be the ones who are always the first to forgive. I've learned that when Jesus is teaching, everybody else needs to be quiet. Because when the master is teaching, he is trying to help us to understand that you can be a Christian and live this life as a Christian and still not reach your fullest potential because unforgiveness has got you bound. He commands us to be those who have the spirit of generosity of forgiveness. In Luke 11:4, Jesus teaches us how to pray. But he shares that when you pray, God's forgiveness is conditional and predicated upon how you forgive your debtors. How can we ask God to forgive us our many sins and still hold grudges and unforgiveness toward people who are no longer alive? I'm in the wrong church this morning, but I'm all right. Here is the tension I want you to understand. People hurt people. One more time, because I don't think you heard me. People hurt people. And if you are a person, you've hurt somebody else, all you got to do is just check the roll. You've said something, you've thought something, you've done something, you insinuated something, you were involved in something, you were gossiping when you should have been never around listening to that. Whether intentional or unintentional, people hurt each other either by words or deeds. Sometimes, I don't want to make light of this. I don't want you to think that I want to make it seem like, Pastor, it ain't that easy. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's devastating. Yes, it's deep. And let me tell you something. You can be hurt and holding on to stuff for so long, for days, months, years, and even decades, and never live your fullest potential because unforgiveness has suffocated who you really are. And here is the issue. People sometimes keep hurting us. And they do it so much and so fast that sometimes we don't have time to recover from the past hurt because they've hurt us again. However, the disciples said, Jesus, I understand what you're saying. I know what the Bible, I know what the Old Testament said about 7 times. But he said, Jesus, am I supposed to forgive somebody 7 times? Jesus said, know what? No, you're not supposed to forgive them 7 times. Jesus said, if somebody does something to you and they keep on doing it, he said, you are supposed to forgive them 490 times. Matthew 18, verses 21 through 22, Jesus says, forgive them 70 times 7. That's 490 times that you are supposed to forgive other people. This is what gets me. I don't know anybody that has endured somebody doing something to them 490 times, except maybe for the taxes that we have to pay. And Jesus says that 7 times is not enough. If you're going to live this life of a Christian, if you're going to be my disciples, you got to be willing to forgive people up to the point of 490 times. I just want to ask one question. The person you mad at, the person that hurt you, the person whom you're holding a grudge to, how many times did they hurt you? Because if they only hurt you 7 times, you ought to get over it. If they only done it 5 times, and sometimes we let the actions of people one time hinder us from receiving what God would have us to have. And most of the time, they didn't mean what you took the wrong way. Jesus wants us to have a roadmap, and this roadmap is designed to help us see how God, through Jesus Christ, has forgiven us for all the stuff we do. And I know I'm not talking to anyone here. I might be talking to somebody somewhere else. You sitting there with that pseudo halo over your head as if you have never done wrong. And I want you to understand, you cannot receive what you don't give. In the heat of the civil rights struggle to show redemptive love, amidst police brutality, dogs on 4-leggeds and some dogs on 2-leggeds, government pressure to cease the work, bomb threats, mistreatment by whites across the Confederate South. Martin Luther King Jr. said this: forgiveness is not an occasional act. He said it's a constant attitude. Martin Luther King understood that how powerful hate and unforgiveness were and still is. However, no matter how potent unforgiveness is in our lives, forgiveness has more power. Now that is where you're supposed to clap and say amen. Now, my brothers and sisters, that's the best news ever. You know why? Because I want you to consider a few things that unforgiveness does, and the counterproductivity of unforgiveness is forgiveness, and for you to see and understand the fruit of forgiveness is stronger than that grudge or that unforgiveness that you're holding on to. Y'all ready? Listen here. Unforgiveness keeps us lamenting past hurts and past pain. I'm not one to take a lot of pain pills, but I've had a couple of strains in my leg and in my back that I don't want to hold on to that pain after I've taken some medicine to get it a little bit better. Sometimes we're holding on to stuff that should have left us a long time ago. You cannot move forward if the past keeps choking your progress. How are you going to go forward and you're still looking backwards? Not only that, you can't enjoy the present blessings without fearing the past disappointments. You still mad at the boyfriend that you liked didn't take you to the prom. And you didn't know he had a girlfriend. You still mad at the boss that tried to hold you back and you still got promoted higher than them. You still mad because when you wanted to do something, somebody told you no, and you still mad about it after all these years. Not only that, we can't embrace God's new grace and new mercy because we even fear the fact that when we said that God forgives all of us, we are fearing God forgiveness for ourselves. Here is the other thing. We cannot grow in faith because of doubt and no self-love. We must get to the point that when somebody does us wrong, and even if they don't ask for forgiveness, we need to forgive them so we can get free. I'm trying to help somebody this morning. Listen to this. Not only does unforgiveness does that to you, but can I give you some good news? Forgiving others helps us to stay focused on our future. It frees us to live in the liberty and grace of God. You know why? Because if God has forgiven you, you need to let whatever that is go. It allows us to accomplish our goals without any guilt. Sometimes we're been so unforgiving that we're afraid to try anything and not understanding that forgiveness frees us to do everything that God would have us to do. Not only that, when you live a life of forgiveness, you create a positive vibe. Everybody wants to be around you. Not only that, it energizes us to finish what our dreams have started. How many folk, you don't have to raise your hand, how many folk have let somebody else's words about what you could not do stop you from doing what God told you to do? I mean, if you think about it, there was always somebody telling you what you could not do. You will never be this, you will never accomplish this, and you still mad about it even though you already done what they say you would not do. I wish I had somebody here. Not only that, forgiveness helps us to move from faith to faith unto glory to glory. Your life and my life is designed to progress every day of our lives.